Welcome back to the Real Estate Reserve Podcast. I'm Jason Balin from Hard Money Bankers, co-host Ian Horowitz from Equity Warehouse, and back in studio, Brandon Cobb. Looking forward to a great conversation. Brandon, if you didn't hear Brandon's first episode we did several weeks ago, definitely check that out. It was awesome. How he's developing entry-level subdivisions and properties in Nashville, Tennessee. It was pretty cool. It was definitely eye-opening for myself and Ian. So Brandon, thanks again for coming back on the show with us. Why don't you just start off by like a quick background bio, and then we'll dig into the deal that changed your life.
Yeah, man. Quick background bio. So medical device rep turned real estate developer. We do about 20 million of entry-level housing communities per year. We land bank, we develop and sell lots to national home builders like DR Horton and Lennar, and we also will build ourselves. But our whole thing is whole entry-level housing investments. Got my start when I got fired one sunny afternoon at the Starbucks over in West End. Was a kid that never thought that he was going to go and do real estate stuff, right? Love what I did. Never had any aspirations to go and build neighborhoods, but was forced into it after my boss decided, hey, Brandon, you're no longer a fit for us and you're fired. And I hope you learned something from this, were his exact words.
Well, that was nice of him. So after that, you took a good trajectory and you got into real estate. Tell us about the deal that changed your life. It could be your first deal you're working on, or maybe it's a deal that didn't go well. Let's hear about it.
Yeah, this was deal number 5 for sure. I was about a year into my entrepreneur journey here. Let me just paint the picture. I think I was 27 years old. I was still on that I can do anything. I've got unlimited energy. I can work as hard as I want attitude, right? New entrepreneurs, when you make your first dollar by yourself, like that's life-changing. You're like, oh my God, I can do this, right? Like you've got all the motivation. You haven't hit any of those roadblocks yet. You've been able to make some money and you're like, dude, sky is the limit. Let's just scale this thing to the moon. And I remember we had a house that we had bought that we had planned on flipping, but after gutting out all of the drywall, I remember going in, looking at the studs, and it looked like a haunted house. And I noticed the wood looked kind of weird. And it wasn't until my partner showed up, he's like, oh, that's termite damage. And so the termites had gone through. We knew that there were termites in the floor joists, and we were prepared to rip all that out and do that. They had gone up through the walls, gone up through the ceiling joists. This was a house where I would compare it to having like bone cancer as a human, where your bones are just like about to fall apart. Like the whole skeleton of the house had been eaten out. And I remember looking at him and the crews that day, were like realizing that this house is being held up by decaying wood. We're like, we got to get out of here. And so we literally got out of that house and we came to the determination that we had to bulldoze it. Now, luckily, we had bought it for less than what empty lots were selling for in the area. And we realized we're going to build our first house. That was like the fourth or fifth deal that I ever did. And man, I'll tell you what, we talked about our general contracting firm and how we're de-vertically integrating. Well, this is the time where the contracting firm kind of started, and you're looking at the guy who started it. Unbeknownstly, we said, nah, man, we'll do this ourselves. We'll save a lot more money. I remember 4 or 5 months into that new build, I couldn't do it anymore. I was waking up at like 5 a.m. to go out and make sure contractors were showing up. The phone from all the marketing that we had sent out was ringing. I couldn't answer it. I was having to go on all the sales appointments that I was pretty much having to miss. I was showing up every day, having to manage all these contractors. I was the guy trying to send out all of the marketing to make sure that calls would come in. And I was doing like all the admin work. And I remember thinking, dude, this sucks. I do not want to be doing this the rest of my life. And I had to figure out a way to muster through building that house, basically.
Yeah, that's that definitely will change your trajectory. What was your learning lessons from there? You had all these things going on. Obviously, it was a pivotal moment in your career enough to be the one that changed your life. Like, what was your learning lessons, and what did you execute on to get you out of that situation to change your trajectory?
Oh, dude, I learned so much from that. So the second half is I didn't end up finishing the home, but man, let me tell you, we put it on contract, under contract before it was built. So I had the owners showing up every day, and one of the owners' father was a builder, and having him show up and ask me questions he could clearly tell I didn't know the answers to. Like I felt like a fraud. I felt so ashamed. I was like, dude, he knows I don't know what I'm doing, and I'm figuring this out. Like it was something else. And so they had actually moved in with their parents because their apartment was up, and so they were breathing down our neck to finish this house. We went 3 months over the timeline, ended up finishing it, ended up closing it. I think I lost like a little piece of my finger working at it one day. I was like bleeding one day, like yelling at contractors, and the neighbors come out and they're like, what is going on here? This guy's bleeding and they're screaming. Like, I think they thought that there'd been like a knife fight or something. I've screamed at 5 grown human beings my entire life. 4 out of those 5 were while I was managing construction. I would never, ever do that again. I learned a couple things from that. One is I learned what it was like to actually be an entrepreneur. I lost $40,000 on that new build after I'd spent all this time, effort, and money putting into it. And I learned like, wow, you actually need to perform. There's no safety net anymore. You got to get good at operations. You got to get good at doing what you're doing. That was number one. Number two, and this was a blessing, is the amount of work and wearing all those hats forced me to start hiring people. I needed to learn how to hire people. I had never done that before. I'd never managed anybody. I was always my own self-made sales rep, right? When you're a sales rep, you're not going in an office every day. You're not managing people. You're out there making sales. And so I realized that I needed to start hiring people. And the second key takeaway from hire people is hire what you are best at last. So for me, that was sales. And I knew I needed to hire everything else, what I was not good at, didn't have the expertise in, and keep me in that sales role because that helped going. The third thing I learned was I needed to pay for experience. I needed to go and get a coach. I needed to join some mastermind programs. I did not want to have to figure this out ever again. That price was too high to pay. The pain was too much. I learned that go and pay for people that can coach you through things, or be around people or the rooms that are doing the things that you want to do. And so I literally went and paid like $25,000 to join a mastermind program around other people that were doing what I was doing, and I could learn from them and take away the lessons and the scars without me having to go and get them. And so those were the big lessons that first deal taught me.
Yeah, that's some powerful, life-changing trajectory stuff. And I think some people need the win and need consistent wins to succeed, and other people need to be backed into a corner like you were in this situation to then be able to go out and explode and be like, that's never happening again. And it's a testament to your personality that allowed you to have this success over the trajectory and career that you've had so far. I don't know. That's Jay. What do you think?
Yeah. I mean, it's you learn very quickly when you as soon as you start losing a buck. It's very, very, you start everything.
When you run out of money, that's when the learning experience really starts. That's right. So if you got buttloads of money in your bank account, you afford to make mistakes. You don't feel it. But yeah, I ended up running. I had about like $111,000 of savings. And I'd sold all my retirement accounts to fund my business. And I think 2 years in, it took me 2 years to run out of that $111,000. And I racked up $98,000 of credit card debt on top of that. That's when the real learning experience started.
I think it's safe to say that if we were all individually wealthy and self-funded, we probably wouldn't be where we're at, today with at least the knowledge. Because, if you have the money, you're just going to throw money at the problem. And right now, we're probably in a position where we can throw money at the problem, but we can make an educated decision if it's smart to throw money at the problem and not just throw good money at bad money. Mm-hmm. And that's typically what happens. And I think when you're starting, like, you can't just throw money at something because you don't know what the problem is. And to me, there's a lot of real estate investors out there that made a decent amount of money over the last few years, and they don't know what the hell they're doing, because the market just saved them and they stacked some paper, and that's great. And I'm glad that happened. but they didn't get they never built the foundation. They just started building the house without any foundation, and they don't know exactly what they don't know. And all of a sudden, they wake up and they're like, oh shit, I'm used to buying properties on MLS. I can't do that anymore. Now, how do I go find deals? Cool. I'm just going to go hire a marketing agency to do Google pay-per-click for me. And it's like, bro, like, you don't know what you don't know. Or, they'll start something like that. And there's a ton of different examples. So I think they're great life lessons to just get your hands dirty and kind of learn the hard way. It's the right path.
Yeah, because I'd spent a lot more than $40,000 on my college education, and to be honest with you guys, I don't know that I'm even going to send my kids to college. I'm actually debating if what college does, which it's supposed to be a tool to get you the skills to give you a good life, I don't know that it does that anymore. Companies want real world experience, and I'm thinking like, man, that $40,000 was so much better spent tackling a project on that than it would have been spent, getting an MBA or like a master's in business or something like that. And so that experience has really carried with me and will continue to carry with me and most likely even affect my children's upbringing. That's how powerful stuff like that is. I don't know. What are y'all's thoughts?
Yeah, dude, Jason and I literally had this conversation this morning at about 7:30. Literally this exact conversation, this exact topic of, what do you do? How does all this look like? We have kids that are at formidable ages. His kids are getting ready to go to middle school. Mine are homeschooled. It's just been, it's been an interesting experience. And yeah, the world is changing. The world is, none of us know, but then we all try to go back and remember we're all similar age, what it was like for us. And, was all this stuff going on then? Now it's just hyper-focused. None of us know. And all you can do is make the best decision that's presented to you. And
there's no, here's the thing. The reality is there's no right or wrong, and you could do one thing with one kid and the opposite with another kid because it depends on who they are. It depends on what their maturity level are, right? If they're Zuckerberg and they're mature at 14 years old or 16 years old to go start a business and to do it, and they have a clear vision, then you support that vision. But most people are not, right? Like it took me probably till almost 30 years old to mature. I mean, we started Hard Money Bankers like in our late 20s, and that in 2007, and that's when we started maturing, and it grew into that. But like, if you ask me at 18 years old, like when I'm graduating high school, like, what do you want to do? Like, it's blurry. You don't know. And I know that, I know a lot of folks don't like this answer, but like going to college wasn't necessarily about education. It was about, being on your own, being responsible, learning stuff, meeting friends, stuff that money probably can't buy. Right. And, so that's one side of it. If somebody's mature enough, it's like, hey, I want to go into the workforce, or I want to learn, or I want to, be involved, or if my kids are like, hey, I want to do what you do and be in hard money lending, be like, great, go find some freaking deals and I'll lend on them and I'll fund them and you can make the points or you can make whatever. Like here it is. And that's a big step that most people, like, that's an opportunity that most people would not have. But like, it's not like, they need to learn. We had a family friend. Actually, we had two family friends that their families owned insurance companies, and both of them, in essence, like they both went to college, and then they both went to work at like Progressive or some place that like a lot of college graduates would get jobs right out of college, and they learned on their dime. Not on their family dime. It's like, cool, go learn the business and then you can take it over. And to this day, they have a successful insurance business. So I think it just depends on who they are and, if they're mature enough or not mature enough. And, I guess time will tell. Like, there's no right or wrong answer. And who knows, maybe they will be, maybe they need a trade that they have, maybe they want to be an engineer and you have to get schooling for that.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Yeah. So I don't know. I mean,
certain industries, doctor, lawyer, higher education, totally justified. I just, to your point, it's like, hey, an opportunity to go out on your own, meet people, socialize. But there's other ways of doing that are not college related, like right. You can definitely, like, for the amount of money you spend on college, you just take that money. I can figure out a way to socialize your kid with that money and do a really good job of it.
Yeah.
Like, you can throw a really big party with your college tuition that was situated for that to go hang out with people, you know?
Yeah. It also depends, if they're an introvert, if they're an extrovert, like if they're going to be a self-starter, if they're not, like there's a lot of moving pieces. And
some people need the military, some people need
Yeah, they're
college,
right.
some people need workforce.
Exactly. I mean, it's also about what people are passionate about. Like maybe they have a really deep passion into something and they got to figure that out. And it needs schooling or it doesn't need schooling, not. So I think a blanket statement for that is very challenging on any, being extreme in any direction. I think that's challenging. But I think it's good that, we're all open-minded of like, cool, this might be a great path for you. This might be a better path for you. And see what direction those all go.
Yep. No, that definitely makes sense. Brandon, where's the best place? I mean, well, first off, let me recap this. That conversation is equally as much life-changing as the deal that changed your life and the maturity you needed to get through that deal. That being said, where's the best place people can find you on the internet? They want to talk to you about kids in college, or they want to follow the deals that you're doing and check you out?
Yeah. Well, if you're interested in entry-level housing on investments that don't lose $40,000, because I've did that with my own money, you don't have to worry about it. If you're interested in diversifying into the Nashville, Tennessee market or entry-level housing developments, you can go to our website, hbgcapital.net. It's pronounced Harry Bob Gary Capital.net. I joked .com was stolen, so it is .net. But yeah, we've got a free ebook on our website, 100 questions business owners ask before investing. You can grab that so you don't make any bad investment decisions. And then if you want to listen to more content, you can listen to us on the Recession Resistant Real Estate Radio. I'm also on social media. You can click Brandon Cobb, like Corn on the Cob on all your popular channels.
Sweet. Hey, man, we appreciate you guys. If you got any value out of this, please share it. It's the best compliment we can give Brandon. And guys, we will catch you on the next one.
Thanks for tuning in to the Real Estate Reserve Podcast. Do us a favor and like, comment, and share our broadcast. It helps the algorithm and helps us spread the word too. Till next time, thank you for tuning in.